Hello everyone, welcome to the 10-Minute Sea Discussion podcast, where I, Nora, your host, will break some exciting news from the Southeast Asia, a small but fast-growing region in the Asian continent. Now, let's stream into our fourth episode, ASEAN-Born in Nature's Red Zone. 28 March 2025 would be a day that Southeast Asian residents can hardly forget. It marks the unexpected earthquake with a magnitude of 7.7 Richter in Sagaing region of Myanmar, with the epicenter close to Mandalay City, the country's second-largest city. Buildings, streets, and also its heritage entities were largely collapsed onto the ground, not only due to the major quake, but also its aftershocks. Some heavily affected zones painfully witnessed their construction efforts flattened by natural disaster. At least 5,000 locals lost their lives and 11,000 of them were injured. The earthquake sadly deepened the humanitarian crisis in Myanmar, whose public medical care and complementary facilities have been ripped apart since 2021 due to its civil war. What was shocking was that Myanmar was not the only nation to experience such a terror moment. Bangkok, the capital city and known as the tourism center of Thailand, almost 1,000 kilometers away from Mandalay, also felt the strong tremors. Though the damages in Thailand mainly include cracks on buildings' walls, the quake within a minute also pulled down a high-rise which was still in the middle of its construction, trapping workers inside. It is also where the large proportion of the country's death tolls lies. According to the latest report on 14 April, 2 weeks after the incident, 36 workers were confirmed dead, while the other 59 were still missing. Given all the lost lives, this earthquake can be deemed as the most devastating one in Thailand's natural catastrophe history. As the epicenter was only 10 miles or 16 kilometers away from Mandalay, it is considered to be shallow, which means more destructive. While it is obvious for Thailand to go through the strike, as it shares the border with Myanmar, further away cities like Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi City of Vietnam also recorded some unusual tremors. Dwellers or office workers staying in high-rise buildings were stunned seeing chandeliers, shelves, and indoor furniture slightly swing back and forth. Some undergoing stronger shake started to have shallow cracks on its wall. So what is happening in ASEAN? Is this earthquake the first warning to the region of more coming uncertainties regarding natural disasters in the future? Southeast Asia belongs to one of the most seismically active regions in the world, where major tectonic plates, such as the Eurasian plate and Australian plate, interact and generate some of the world's strongest earthquakes and tsunamis. Some ASEAN countries, namely the Philippines, Indonesia, and Myanmar, are even situated in between several tectonic plates. Hence, earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions are generally part of their local lives. With that said, countries like Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam rarely face strong earthquakes. However, the widespread tremors across these nations after the 28 March violent earthquake in Myanmar highlights their unfamiliarity in major seismic events. Simultaneously, it once again reminds all ASEAN members of its territory's special geographic features, ranging from mainland to island. It is undeniable that lying on the Pacific Ring of Fire, almost all countries in Southeast Asia are prone to climatic disasters in one way or another. Besides, most nations' landscapes formed on archipelagos and peninsulas. So if it's not earthquakes and tsunamis, it could be cyclones, monsoon rains. Sometimes it is not exaggerated to say that throughout the region's history of sovereignty establishment, natural disasters have also been included in this process. But what requires urgent attention here is that in recent years, though Southeast Asia still seasonally witnesses climatic catastrophes, these events have become more unpredictable. Some even possess an unforeseen severity, nearly knocking down any provinces they strike on. Last year, September, Typhoon Yagi arrived in the Philippines, then Vietnam. It is known as the most violent storm within the last 30 years, sweeping through the South China Sea region. At some locations, the highest winds measurable could reach up to 195 km per hour. Although citizens, together with local authorities, had greatly put efforts into preparations, advancing temporary evacuation and building up strong defense fronts, under the typhoon's strength, nearly all local properties near the shores, namely fishing boats, tourism yachts, and fish farms, were destroyed or even flattened. Even after the storm died down, the aftermath of landslide, flooding, and essential service cuts hindered further authority attempts to distribute relief packages and assistance in the affected cities. Typhoon Yagi caused an enormous damage of $52.4 million to the Philippines and $3.45 billion to Vietnam, including life loss, large-scale residential displacement, and broken facilities. According to the United Nations, climate change and the warming of the oceans caused by human industrial activities are increasing the frequency and severity of extreme weather events, coupled with the latest strong earthquake in Mandalay and other ongoing early seasonal climatic phenomena. It seems that Southeast Asia is trapped under an unimaginable natural disaster bait. To overcome this obstacle, it requires cross-country collaborations to timely initiate approaches capable of supporting readiness for disaster and rebuilding afterwards. Since ASEAN Committee on Disaster Management, or ACDM, was founded in 2003, the ASEAN Agreement on Disaster Management and Emergency Response was formed and has been regularly revised to align with societal, economic, and technological changes in each country and in the region as a whole. According to ASEAN Vision 2025 on disaster management, the strategic direction guiding the implementation of the agreement over the next 10 years focuses on creating a more people-centered, financially sustainable, and networked approach to disaster management in the region. The vision is built on ASEAN's previous achievements while adapting to the increasingly complex humanitarian landscape shaped by climate change, urbanization, and other socio-economic challenges. The region aims to concrete cross-sectoral governance by integrating its social, cultural, economic, and political security communities while enhancing disaster management capacities at regional, national, and local levels. Clear and timely communication among stakeholders will be prioritized through the development of Regional Disaster Communications Master Plan. Promising as the vision may seem, before diving deeper into further actions, it's worth noticing that Southeast Asia, like other world regions, is still trying to regain its balance and growing pace after the severe COVID-19 pandemic and the following economic crisis. Though investment in better pathways tackling natural disaster is essential, it should not over-occupy the budget initially designated for industrial and social development. Hence, more cost-effective solutions which can both ensure long-term shield for the region under catastrophes and guarantee sufficient capitals for other industrial developments are in demand. Learning from the Netherlands' initiatives for rising tides and floods caused by the climate change exemplifies the suggested actions. If possible, it is recommended that ASEAN refer to and adopt technologies from the Netherlands' floating buildings and coastal protection measures. The country is well known for its Maasland storm surge barrier set up near the Rotterdam port, which has shielded the country's southern coast for the past 25 years. This automatic fence will close when sea level rises to more than 1.5 meters, protect the country with 40% of its area below sea level. With years of experience in water management, the majority of related inventions in the Netherlands are both effective and cost-saving, which is believed to have reduced billions of dollars in manufacture for flood disaster systems and damage suffered by locals. Regarding earthquakes, challenges may persist due to lack of data on early warning signs to be input into any computerized system. It doesn't mean that it's impossible to revise our current measures to tackle the quake. For the time being, ASEAN has successfully launched an online platform named ASEAN Earthquake Information Center, where most earthquake-related data are updated frequently. These obstacles are brought into sharp focus after a quake of 7.7 magnitude hit Myanmar in March 2025, which caused massive infrastructural damage, exposed thousands to homelessness, and revealed critical gaps in both national and regional disaster preparedness systems. The uneven technological capacity among ASEAN member states is further revealed following such catastrophes. In the case of the 2025 Myanmar earthquake, outdated or insufficient seismic monitoring systems failed to provide timely warnings, especially remote areas. Internet blackouts and limited communication networks further delayed rescue operations and aid delivery. Myanmar case is not isolated across ASEAN. Many countries lack interoperable and real-time data systems that could enable effective cross-border coordination during disasters. While some countries like the Philippines have improved weather prediction systems and early warning networks, the problem often lies in the last-mile delivery of alerts, where vulnerable populations in rural or informal settlements still miss timely evacuation notices. Hence, early address to the mentioned shortage is believed to found a strong base for ASEAN movement within this decade in terms of confronting climate change and unusual natural disasters. State members should collaboratively prioritize the development of regionally integrated early warning systems by investing in digital infrastructure that ensures real-time data sharing across borders. Thereby, ASEAN can stay balanced between growing its prosperity and sustaining through the natural hardships. Living in a zone facing frequent natural disasters, Southeast Asian nations have more or less learned from the past experience to come up with plans to largely stay prepared and alert to any catastrophes. However, as climate change is occurring hard, bringing unusual climatic phenomena, the current pathways do not seem to be versatile enough to assist such endeavors. Discrepancies of data collection in each country and also asynchronous alert systems have hindered the effectiveness of sending early warnings across the region to the vulnerable community. Therefore, ASEAN is advised to seek for more advancement in technology used as well as sustainable solutions to effectively collect suspicious signs, send out timely alerts to the affected population, and reduce damages that may require a long time to be rebuilt. Through such initiatives, it's possible for ASEAN to strengthen cross-border collaboration and invest in unified regional frameworks, which are essential to build a resilient future in the face of escalating climate threats. So that's the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it and found the news interesting. For your convenient reference to further details of the news I mentioned, please find the links to my blog page in the description, where I have compiled all the related information. If you have any questions, or you want to discuss more on what I shared today, please leave your comments below. I would love to talk to each of you more as well. You can search for more episodes of this 10-minute sea discussion podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Podcasts, and my own blog page. Thank you for listening to today's episode all the way to the end. And I hope to see you again in my next episode of 10-minute sea discussion, which will be released soon. Once again, this is Nora, your host. Thank you so much and goodbye.